Coming up later in this episode,
there's some real value in you as an individual and not you as a less interesting mirror of the current zeitgeist.
I just recorded 15 minutes of a rant and then got so bored with what I was talking about that I just gave up. But it's about AI and it was annoying and I didn't want to talk about it anymore. In the middle of re-recording what I'm actually saying, which is about being an individual and unplugging from things, I strayed off into AI territory a couple of times. And so each of those times you will see and hear that I redact those rants because that's not what this is about. Welcome to Illo Talk. I am Cory Kerr and you can get my stuff at kuretake.com.
Here's a thing that I made. This is less direct than a lot of the things that I've made. I honestly, I've been in a little bit of a funk this last week, and I'm just sick of things. And so I just kind of started drawing my initial prompt for this. I'm going to kind of keep that to myself because I think I'm going to probably do a second stab at that prompt and kind of and go with that message for something that's a little bit more clear. But I kind of like how this turned out. And as a more abstract piece, I still think there's some meaning to it. And so I'll just point out some of the things that might not be super obvious, but there is a crab unplugging an electrical cord, and you can kind of see that happening there at the bottom. There's a royal cat with a third eye at the top there, kind of wings surrounding that, kind of framing that, and then just outside of those wings you've got swords cutting an Ethernet cord, flanked by oysters showing pearls, and old vacuum tubes kind of surrounding everything. And then inside of that, you have kind of two pyramids slipping off of axis, one with a foot coming out of it, breaking the shackles that were around its ankle, and the other with a pair of scissors cutting a coaxial cable. So that's kind of just some of the physical items that are in there. And this is one of those ones that I don't really want to explain. I'm kind of interested in some of the explanations and ideas that this kind of drives. Some of I like explaining the meaning behind a lot of the art that I produce, but sometimes there are a few that I intentionally decide to not explain, and I think this is going to be one of those. But in any case, it was fun to make. You can probably see some like heraldic influences, like medieval heraldry. There's a lot of kind of that. Kind of mixed with, the idea of modern imagery, mixed with kind of, there's some tarot elements, there's some hieroglyphic elements, there's some kind of references to different scripture and things that are kind of in there. And so it's fun to just kind of play with a lot of these influences. And this is definitely one of the more playful pieces. Not everything in here has kind of like a direct message, but I'm hoping that there's a bit of a vibe that kind of goes with it, in total. I don't think a vacuum tube in and of itself has any meaning, but a vacuum tube in a circular fashion kind of sprawling outwards from a bit of a lightning bolt-like symbol, kind of in and around different things might have a bit of a vibe to it. So anyway, that's kind of what this is. But anyway, this whole thing about all this stuff is exhausting. Like I'm just tired of this AI fight. So that brings me to the mood and kind of vibe of this last week. I've been teaching this class called Intentional Creativity, and it's been talking about. I've been trying to teach, like 18 to 24-year-olds how to disconnect, how to unplug, how to be with your own thoughts and feel your own feelings. Intentionally engage in creativity without being derivative of the current zeitgeist. And so, like, for example, like this week, I gave an assignment that I was like, listen, I want you to take in influences that are pre-digital. Try to get old, try to get back in the day, do inspiration family tree. I think the inspiration family tree is a really interesting thing. There was a student that did an inspiration family tree that started with Scorsese. And then he traced it all the way back to Newton, and he started learning things about Isaac Newton. Because what he noticed is that each generation of creators had somebody 20 years prior to them that they looked up to, that had done something that kind of inspired them to do their work and create their own original things. And he traced that back from Scorsese to Newton. And he said, which is really interesting because I'm not that into science. But it was neat to kind of see that experience. And there's some interesting things going on. So inspiration family tree is basically find things that you like, find the people that made those things, and then find the people that they were inspired by, and then find the people that inspired those people, and then find the people that inspired those people. And when you get pre-digital and sometimes prehistorical, you can get to some really interesting places, and your stuff will become transformative because you have a much better chance of doing something interesting if you're mixing Herodotus, with some pharaoh or, an ancient Greek philosopher or African philosopher or Chinese proverbist, than if you're just doing like whatever your take is on some fan art or, your version of Star Wars or something. You know what I mean? Like if you're doing your own Moon Knight, mix up or something like that, whatever's in the current zeitgeist is just, it's what the giant corporations and billionaires and these megalithic companies want you to be thinking about and want you to be creating things about. And so if you look at truly creative, interesting, and inspirational work, it is usually based on nothing. It's not new ideas that haven't existed before, but it's ideas that are not currently floating around in the zeitgeist. It's the ideas that are not just out there and tweaked a little bit, And then the rest of the dross is the constant sequels and reboots and iterations and franchises, and it's exhausting at this point. And exhausting not in a good way, like, man, that was so great, I'm exhausted, but exhausting in like a really, that's what we've got with everything that's going on, And I don't know. I enjoy some of that stuff, but I just like to see some original things. It would just be nice if there were original things. Anyway, so some of this is without giving too much away or what I was thinking, just a call to kind of like disconnect every once in a while and be with yourself and think and feel for yourself. There's some real value in you as an individual and not you as a less interesting mirror of the current zeitgeist. But I like to see more humanity. And by that, I don't mean humanity en masse, but I mean humanity as an individual. I'd love to see individual voices shine more than the churn of the blender of the same garbage that we see all the time. So, and I don't know how financially lucrative that is in the current state. I don't know, but it just seems more valuable than what we get when we, mix up whatever. So anyway, if you're interested in this or anything else that I've made, you can go to kuretake.com and get on that email newsletter list by going to kuretake.com/email. Get on some of those shirts, mugs, and flags at kuretake.com/store. And anyway, like I say this at the end of most of my videos, but I really do mean it. And I want to qualify why I'm saying this. Go make stuff. Make your own things. Think about your own things. Sit and lean up against a tree and just breathe the air and think your own thoughts. And when you do have input, try to mix that input up a little bit. Chase your interests, learn about things, chase your curiosity a bit. And when you do that, and when you make things, your things that you make are going to be more unique and individual and interesting than, and frankly transformative from the source material than the most of the dross and drivel and common things that we get. So anyway, bit of a downer, but hopefully you guys enjoyed some of this or whatever. I don't know. I gotta go. Catch you guys later. Go make stuff.
This is Illo Talk.